Today we're making Keto Hamburger Helper, easily adaptable to carnivore, ketovore, keto, low carb, many variations. I'm Anita from KetogenicWoman.com, where I share keto and carnivore recipes and other cooking ideas. If you're new here, welcome. Please check out some of my other videos and consider becoming a subscriber. For those of you returning, welcome back. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Fall and winter days are here. It's dark out already and it's like just past 4 o'clock. I'm gonna make some hamburger helper for dinner tonight. So hamburger helper is, maybe you had it when you were a kid. My mom kind of stayed away from packaged foods, but we certainly had foods very similar to hamburger helper. It's just that she made them from scratch, and that's kind of what this is going to be. We will have noodles in there. The noodles are going to be made out of beef. We will have beef, of course, like a cheesy sauce, and I'm going to make it ketovore and add some mushrooms to it. I've already got some cooked leftover mushrooms here. You can use canned if you like. So the first thing I'm going to do, because I have not made the beef noodles before on YouTube, I'm going to show you how I make those. It's just the same as the chicken ones, but I just want to show it anyways because there may be new people here. So we'll make the noodles, and while the noodles are baking, then I'll get everything ready to make the hamburger helper part. So let's get started on that. Just ignore all these other ingredients over here. So to make the noodles, I have some ground beef here. This is already cooked. There's 3.5 ounces. I actually cooked this yesterday and drained it really well, and then let it drain overnight in the fridge on a paper towel. You want it to be really dry. Also, this is extra lean ground beef. To make the noodles, you want to have a lean meat, and that's why I use white breast chicken for the chicken noodles. You just don't want to have a lot of grease in the noodle mixture, otherwise you're not going to get the best results. So 3.5 ounces completely dried, drained ground beef is what I'm using. You just need a small blender. You could use a Magic Bullet. This is an Oster. It's called a personal blender. I'm going to put my ground beef in here. And we'll get rid of that. The other thing we need in here is 1 egg. So I will get that in there. I have my oven set to, right on time. Hang on. I can talk in a minute.
Thank you, oven.
It is set to 350 degrees. The other thing that goes in here is 2/3 of a cup of egg whites. I don't know how much is in this container. There's 1/3. These noodles are dairy-free and they are fully carnivore, but the sauce I'm going to be making is not dairy-free, just so you know. Oh, and some salt. This is Redmond's fine salt. I think I want about 1/4 teaspoon in there. Okay, you really want to blend this as fine as you can. It should look kind of like pablum baby food when you're done. So however you blend it, just blend it a little bit more when you think you're done. Okay, we're probably not going to get it any more blended than that. So then what we're going to do is just spread it out on this large sheet. Okay, so this baking sheet is around 11 by 17. And this, I got a mat. Oh, it's actually 12 by 17, it says right in the middle of the sheet. I have this mat that finally I was able to find one that is pretty much the size of this sheet. It fits in there almost perfectly. My other one was quite, you know, it was sort of about the size of the inside, so I'm really happy to have found this one. What I do with this batter mix is just pour it in the middle, and then we're going to just kind of let it spread out on its own, basically. For those of you that have made some of my other noodle recipes, the batter is thicker and you have to work a lot to spread it out. But these carnivore ones are not. They are much easier to spread. And so I usually just carefully try to get it into a rectangle and then go from there. The other thing that happens is if you put this on a warped pan, some of my pans are warped and I can't even really tell until I see, you know, the batter flowing to one side or the other. And the other thing that happens is I have a feeling that my oven is not level on the floor because the batter often rolls over to one side. So do your very best to kind of spread it out thin. If your pans are smaller and you don't have an 11 by or 12 by 17 pan, you're better off to spread it out amongst two pans. Because if it's too thick, it's not really, you know, it doesn't really make a great noodle. It'll still work, but better to get this as thin as you possibly can. I also find that this noodle takes a little bit longer to cook than the chicken ones, for those of you that have made the chicken. So like, we're not talking a long time, like a couple minutes. All right, I'm putting that in the oven, and then we'll come back and start on our hamburger helper part. Okay, I have set that for 10 minutes, and I'm going to check it in 10 minutes. It might need 12 minutes. When it starts to curl up on the edges, then it's done, and we'll take it out. All right, so while we're waiting for the noodles to cook, to bake, I'm going to start on the sauce, and it's basically a cheese sauce. It's pretty simple. I don't really have a recipe, so normally what I do is I put in cream cheese, cream, I thin it out with some bone broth, and add cheese to it in various proportions until it looks right. So today I'm actually going to try to quantify that. I have 1 cup of cream cheese here. So that's going in first. So we'll get this on the little stove top here. I'm just going to grab a wooden spoon. I want to just melt this a little bit. So I've moved this down to low because I don't want to burn my cream cheese. I just want to melt it, and then I can add the other ingredients. It's really different cooking on this thing as opposed to the gas stove top. But it's so hard to film over there. Okay, so that's looking not too bad. I'm going to add, I'm going to try a 1/2 cup of cream. Okay, so we'll see how that goes. Turn that up just a little bit. My goal is to make it look like sauce and then move it aside while I cook the meat. And by then we'll have our noodles too. Okay, that looks pretty good actually. Just smooth out some lumps here. And I want to add probably, this is 2 cups of sharp cheddar. So I'm going to add about half of it. And I think I want to thin this out a little bit. So that's about a 1/4 cup of bone broth. Just enough to thin it out. And you don't even have to thin it out if you don't want to. I want to make a cheese sauce that I can work with. All right, just gonna turn that down so I can check my noodles. All right, so I've just put it in for, or I've set the pasta on for another minute. I keep calling them noodles, but I haven't made them into noodles yet. So if you've never seen me make the noodles, you're probably going, what is she talking about? Noodles. It looked like a big sheet of batter, which is how it starts off. So melt this a little bit more. You can add whatever other things, like whatever other seasonings you want. I keep things very minimal when I'm doing carnivore. I mean, today I am adding some mushrooms. So that will make this ketovore. Some carnivores do use a few mushrooms. And I'm adding some salt. And honestly, that's really it. But I mean, you can do other things. You can make this any way you like, depending on what kind of program you're doing. The only thing this would not be suitable for is protein sparing, because obviously we have a lot of cream and dairy and cheese in here. But it's pretty carnivore friendly at this point. The cheese is almost melted, so I'm just going to check my pasta. Okay, so I just want to show you this. There's the sheet of pasta starting to curl up. That's what I look for. Then I know I can take it out. So I'm going to turn down my cheese sauce. Now normally this would be done the day ahead and the noodles would be ready to just throw into the pan in a few minutes. But I really wanted to show you the pasta, how to make it. So I'm just going to clean a few things up here. We're going to cut our noodles and be right back. Okay, so I've got my sheet of noodles here. Or pasta. I'm about to cut it into noodles. My cheese has melted. So I'm actually just going to move this pot and I'm going to put my hamburger meat. My pound of hamburger that is already cooked. This is leftovers. And that is going to just warm up slightly while, maybe I'll just turn it up a little bit, while we do the pasta sheet. So I'm just going to carefully, I don't even have to, it's just coming right off. There we go. Love it. Love my new sheet. It is just a little bit crunchy on this one corner, so I'm probably going to remove that. That'll be Teddy's treat later. He hasn't shown up yet for his share of the goods here, but I'm sure he will. All right. So you can see there's some unevenness. It all kind of flowed this way and it's a little thicker on this end, but it's not really going to matter. I'm going to roll this up now. And basically I'm going to just slice the noodles, or slice it into noodles. All right, So I have a whole bunch of these noodles now, and they're long, so I'm gonna just make a couple of slices this way to cut them into shorter pieces, because with Hamburger Helper, if you recall, the noodles were sort of like this, and they were something you could eat with a fork. You didn't have to worry about twirling them or, you know, these long pieces or anything. So we've shortened them up a bit, and now we just need to, where did my wooden spoon go? So we have our meat is warming up here. I'm going to add in mushrooms. This is about a cup. I think it would have been about 2 cups if they were raw. And it's 2 cups cooked, or sorry, 1 cup cooked. If you're not sensitive, you could add some onions and garlic and things like that. I can no longer enjoy those vegetables. Maybe in the summer, some chopped zucchini would be nice in here. So the reason I wanted to experiment with beef noodles as opposed to the usual ones that I have is because a lot of people are sensitive to chicken and poultry, and some my original noodles had pork in them, and so a lot of people are also sensitive to pork. So if you're one of those people that can only eat beef, you could have a beef soup with beef noodles and beef broth. And it's just, you know, something different from a steak. As much as I love steak, sometimes I feel like I want a hot bowl of soup. And so the beef noodles will allow you to do that. Or if you're doing beef butter and egg, I think that's it.
Beef butter, there was small enough B's in there. Beef butter, bacon, egg, I don't know
what it is, but I know a lot of people are doing that. And so here's a noodle you can use while you're doing that, because all it has in it is beef and eggs. Okay, and now we have our cheese sauce. If you're not sensitive to spices, you could also make this kind of a nacho cheese, or like use some taco seasoning or something like that. Spice this thing up. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Hamburger Helper. Yes, we do. I need to heat this up a little bit more because it's not quite hot enough. But the sauce tastes great. The sauce really makes this, of course. And I think I would want to simmer it just for a couple minutes to let the sauce into the noodles. The beef noodles are a little drier than the chicken ones. And but they taste good, and they are just as sturdy in soup or in a casserole. Like you could bake this. So like you could put this in a casserole dish, top it with more cheese, some jalapenos, or whatever other kinds of things you want to top it with. And you've got a nice hot, bubbly, cold winter night casserole, Hamburger Helper type dish. So I hope this gives you some ideas of what you can make on Carnivore. Think outside the box and make things other than steak or burgers. So I'm going to go enjoy my dinner now, and I will see you in the next video. Okay, everybody, I'm really terrible at this. I keep forgetting, but I'm supposed to say something about these aprons. I have aprons, mugs, shirts. There's a link down below for merch that is keto related. It's kind of fun, and I actually really love the aprons. They just it's hard to get them really dirty. It comes off nicely, so check it out.
I have a hair on my face. I wasn't even sure if it was pointed at me. Okay, so we've got... Okay, it's not your turn. You can star in the bloopers.